When we live in a content-dominated business world, how do you become the person that loves to create in a way that works for you and matches your flow? It's so easy just to follow the crowd and do what you think's going to work that you've seen work for other people. But I am here to challenge you today to find your way of creating and start to think differently so that you can build your brand authority through the content that you create. If we've not met, hey there, I'm Suze Chadwick, a personal brand and business coach, helping you get out of your own way so that you can build a brand that sells for you. Now, I have to be totally honest with you because I am sharing my journey too, but I have not enjoyed creating content in recent times. I feel like it's been a little bit of a tick the box exercise, doing carousels, doing reels, and creating from a place of it needs to happen rather than serving my audience, building my community, and really sharing things that I'm passionate about. Things that I think are going to move the dials. So if you want to come on this journey with me, then that's what we're talking about today. How can you love creating? But not just that. How can it become something that you master that helps you communicate your message in a really powerful way, connect with your audience, help you to convert? And as those words come out of my mouth, the one thing I do want to say is that we want to be creating from a place of service. We want to be sharing our thought leadership, what it is that we believe our clients need and how we can help them. And obviously, when you come from a place of service, then 9 times out of 10, the result is that people want to work with you because you're giving, you're thoughtful, you're insightful, you're amazingly skilled at what it is that you do. So I think we've just got to flip the script a little bit when it comes to our mindset around creating and the fact that not everything we create needs to convert. Because really, if we build the relationship, eventually it'll do its job. So instead of telling you just what to do, I'm going to share with you what I've been doing and what I've done. Now, the first thing I want to say is that I had a goal this year of growing my YouTube to 1,000 subscribers, and we're inching towards that. And one of the reasons is because I wanted to create more in-depth content. I wanted to be able to share more of what I'm doing, what I know, and how I can help you build your brand in a longer form. I feel like whilst I really enjoy TikTok and Instagram, most of the time it feels fleeting. It feels very in the moment. And as I've heard some of my online mentors share, is that often people aren't looking for a solution when they're scrolling. Whereas something like YouTube, people come to actually search for what it is that they're looking for to find the help that they need. And so really having a mindset around the different platforms and how you can bring your best self to that, I think is the first thing that's really important to think about. Now, wanting to grow my YouTube, one of the things that I've really had to work on is just finding my groove here, finding my flow. I've mentioned before that I started my YouTube 10 years ago. It's been my biggest regret that I never took it seriously. And I never really found any flow with it. It was more shooting podcasts, putting them up, rather than having deliberate, curated content, which is what I'm doing now. And the great thing is that because I have a personal brand waterfall effect, we also get the podcast, blog posts, show notes, short form video, and so much more out of the content that we create. We really want to squeeze all the juice out of it. So really thinking about how I want to communicate with you, what I want to share, and practicing just being myself and being in the moment, I think is so important. And so if you feel burnt out by short form content, if you feel like you've not really found your groove, but you know that you've got so much value to share, then obviously YouTube could be a great place for you. As a personal brand coach, it is something that I talk to a lot of my clients about, where you have your master content strategy and then you get everything else from there, because it's all about working smarter, not harder, and not being on that content hamster wheel constantly, because none of us want to be on that. So the first thing is make a decision about where you think you're in flow with your content and think about which platform is right for you. I was talking to a client the other day about potentially looking at TikTok because she really doesn't want to be highly editing videos. She doesn't want to be fancy and curated. And TikTok is just a little bit more real and raw, like you're on FaceTime with a friend and very much in the moment. So aligning how she wants to create with the right platform is going to be important. The second thing is that if you are creating short form content, then a few things that you can think about doing that I think is going to really build your brand authority and help you to showcase your expertise, showcase your knowledge. Number one is to create commentary. So if there's a trend report, sharing your insights on that, informing your audience, being the information communicator, the one that gathers the information from your industry and informs your audience, but not only informs, but you give your insights. You share what you think about that particular thing so that they can get your opinion on it. So not only are they getting great information because you're curating and communicating it, but then they're also getting your take on it and maybe some new insights that they haven't thought about. So one of the things that I do from a practical perspective is that if I'm on TikTok and I see something, I see a piece of information, I see somebody sharing facts, figures, insights on my industry or something that I like to talk about, then I will save that video, which means that later I can chop it up, I can green screen it, and I can give my take on it. And so I've got a little folder in my TikTok and my Instagram where I save content. I save content like stories I could share when I'm speaking, content I can share for commentary, content that I share for the audio where I might use that audio. And so having a bit of an organization system for your content is also going to make it so much easier for you so that if you're ever sitting and thinking, what am I going to create? What do I want to talk about? One of the things I do is that my saved folders are not a graveyard. I do go back to them really often and think, oh yeah, great. I love that piece of content. Let me talk about that. What that also does is that it means that it's very current. So if there are things that are happening right now in your space, being somebody who talks about them means that you become this one source of truth for your audience. They know that if they come to your content, you're going to be sharing things that are current, relevant, and important to them at the time. The next kind of content that I really love and that I think works really well is nostalgia. So anything that you grew up with that you can relate to what it is that you do. So for example, I am a Sex and the City girl, and the show And Just Like That, which is the follow-on series, is coming to an end. And there was a moment in a recent episode that really made me think about a business-related way of thinking. And so I shared that. And that's been one of my most popular pieces of content recently. And the reason is because I know so many of my audience are in their 30s and 40s, and they grew up with Sex in the City, just like I did in my 20s. And so it's something that they feel very connected to, and it's relatable. So I want you to think about what is something that you hold dear. That could be something from your childhood, when you were growing up, something that you know other people are going to really relate to. I think that that's always a winner. Next, we want to share some opinions. Now, I think that a lot of my clients struggle with this, where they're just like, I don't really know what I don't like within my industry. And I think it's kind of taking a step back. And it's not just what you don't like, but it's really taking a look at your clients, the problems that they have, the things that are going on in your industry, the things that are going on in the world, and thinking about what are my opinions on this? What do I agree with? What do I not agree with? What do I feel really strongly about? So one of the things that I feel super strongly about, and I was literally watching an ad that came up in my feed the other day where the ad said, if you're wanting to make $100,000 a month, you don't need an audience, you don't even need a product, and you don't need a list, and you don't need any particular skill. And I just thought, that's crazy. I hate spammy ads like that are selling lies and making people feel like it's the easiest thing in the world to just make $100,000 a month with nothing, with no foundations, no products, no skills. Like, it's just not something that's true. So even when I see things like that get a reaction out of me, making a note of it and just remembering the things that kind of drive me nuts about my industry. Also, things that I love. What are the things that I really hold on to? What are the beliefs that I want to share that I think are really going to help my clients? When you become known for the things that you think and believe, the things that you don't like and you're against, then that becomes memorable. When I think of my online mentors and the people that I follow, I am very clear on their stance. I am very clear what they believe, what they don't believe, what they think is garbage, what they think you should focus on. And it's because they're sharing those opinions on a regular basis. They don't just share it once, but they share it over and over again. And so the question is, are you sharing your opinions? Are you just telling people what they should be doing? Or are you sharing why they should be doing it and what your experience was and the story that brought you here and why you're so passionate or against that particular thing? And if you're sitting there going, I don't know, then it's something to work on because it's really part of your thought leadership. And I've got a whole formula for thought leadership that I'll take you through another time. But it's really just thinking about your lived experiences, what you've learned from others, what's happening in the world, and the collision of what you think about those things when all of that comes together. And it's something you might need to work on a little bit. And maybe getting a friend and having a conversation about your industry, about what you do, about the things that you love and the things that you hate. And they might ask you questions. And that could also help you to pull what it is that you want to be sharing more. Because I think that when you're really clear on what you want to be sharing and what you're fighting against, I always talk about the hill that you're willing to die on. Like, what is the one thing that you feel like your audience absolutely needs to know that you cannot help but share with them? Because once you know that, it's going to make it so much easier for you to become memorable. The next content that I really love is show me, don't tell me. And so there are people that I follow online. Ryan Leake is one of them that just comes to mind, where all of his content is him speaking on stages. Now, he's a leadership coach and speakerpreneur. And I love the stories that he tells of seeing him on stage when I'm watching him on TikTok or Instagram. And so I'm constantly seeing him in that setting. So in my mind, I know that he's a speakerpreneur. I know that he's a leadership coach. And so creating content when you're in the moment. So if you're a speaker, if you're a podcaster, actually recording yourself doing that and then sharing that once again helps to solidify in your audience's mind that that is what you do. You don't just talk about it. You're not just telling them to do something that you're not doing. Actually showing people how you do something, I think builds so much trust and it makes it easy for them to be like, yeah, if I need to learn that thing, I need to go to Suze or I need to go to Ryan or whoever it is that you're connecting with. And so you've got to ask yourself, are you telling your audience or are you showing them through what you're doing? Which is why documenting your journey has become so big because people are tired of others telling them what to do. I would rather see you in action, see how you're getting clients, see how you're building your brand, see you speaking on that stage so that I can experience that with you. And I think that that builds a deep connection with the people that are watching you do that because you're not all talk, you're action. And in a crowded market where everybody seems to be a guru, we want to see people who are doing the work, not just talking about it. And so I really want you to think about, out of those things that I've shared with you today, really understanding which platform is right for you and where you're in flow, being somebody that is an information source, the one source of truth for your audience through commentary and insights into your industry, thinking about how you can bring a bit of nostalgia and connection to your audience through your content, having really strong opinions about the things that matter, and then being somebody who shows and doesn't just tell. When you think about those things, I want you to think about what would I really enjoy doing? How can I mix it up? How can I become really good at what it is that I'm communicating? Because I think the main thing that we've lost is that we're creating content, but really it's just us getting better at communicating. It's us mastering the ability to communicate and connect on a deeper level with our audience. And so I want you to flip the script on how you're thinking about your content creation. I'm really thinking about how I can connect more with my audience and how I'm doing things that I really enjoy doing. And I have seen a massive shift in the engagement and the success when it comes to the metrics, when I'm creating from a place of enjoyment and fun and insight. And so now I'm even looking for more things. I'm like, what are some of the industry stats right now around small business and women in business? How many women are in AI? How can we talk more about that. What is it that my audience needs to know when it comes to those particular topics? And so becoming really curious with the way that you start to communicate and collate information and look for insights and look for interesting things, I think is so worthwhile. And having your hot take on it. What do you think about it? What is your opinion on it? And how can you share that in a way that makes your audience feel like, I want to come back because Suze or you have always got something really interesting to share? There are accounts that I follow where I love to intentionally go and check them out because I know that they're always interesting and they've got really interesting things to share. So how do you become that person who people come back for again and again because you're sharing things that really help them think differently? And I think that's one of the really big things that we all want. We're done with the same, constantly regurgitated messaging. We want people that say things differently, that help us think differently, so that we can have better results, better relationships, create from a place of uniqueness and a place that we love to be. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of food for thought when it comes to really learning to love the creation process and what you're putting out into the world. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I would love you to share it, leave a comment too, and I'll see you next time.